So before the end of the month, probably right around Christmas time, the FAA is going to come out with their rule for remote ID about these guys. All right. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what remote ID is and how it's going to affect you as a drone enthusiast, commercial, or just a hobbyist. All right. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification so that way you get all the upcoming content. You get all the notifications whenever we go live or there's a new video available. Really appreciate it. Really helps me out. So we're going to get in today about remote ID. We're going to get into what it means and how this can really affect you as not only a hobbyist, but someone who flies me as Part 107. And there's been a lot of crazy things been happening in the past couple weeks. Like one gentleman out in Philly who he's flying his drone, and he has been fined by the FAA for over $187,000. Now, I'm not going to get into that today. I don't know the exact specifics of that issue, but this is something that we have to, as drone pilots, are going to be looking at, and it's going to be getting a little bit more stringent, but maybe it'd be for the best. Rules are rules, and we all have to have this fair sky policy. We all want to fly safely. We don't want to sit there and cause any issues in the airspace or around the airspace and cause it to where we lose our privileges or we're no longer available to fly our drones recreationally or for commercially to make money. So with that, let's get into it. Right now, this has been something that's been going on for a while. So remote ID has been something that has been proposed by the FAA, and let's get into what it is really. I'm going to go about this. This is off of dronelife.com. You can go ahead and check this out. But what this is primarily here in the United States, the FAA defines remote ID as the ability for the UAS in flight to provide identification and location information that other parties can receive. So in other words, on this drone that I have here, like I showed you earlier, guys, I have the Mavic Air 2, and it has ADS-B. What ADS-B is basically like a transponder, and it gives out information. And when I'm flying and I'm on my drone, man, I can actually see if there's other aircraft in the area. It'll warn me that there's other aircraft in the area. They can't see the drone, though. They cannot see it. They don't see where the position it's in or anything like that. But remote ID, what this does, it provides your position, it provides your altitude, all this other stuff around you, so that way other people can see who you are, where you are. And it's also a way to kind of regulate the airspace, because remember, we do live in busy airspaces, especially around big cities like New York here in the Northeast, Philly, Atlantic City, things like that, where things will get congested, things will happen, and we don't want to be able to have, any kind of accidents. We have low-flying helicopters, especially where I live. We have a Coast Guard station near me, and we don't need, drones being able to get up. And these things can get up to, over 1,000 feet. I've seen them on YouTube where hobbyists and drone pilots are getting them up to, well over 1,000 feet, well over the legal limit. And, so they're capable. These aircraft are capable, and helicopters generally do fly within that airspace, within that altitude. And especially here at the shore, we have the low flying helicopters, the helicopters that take you out for tours and stuff like that up and down the beach. They're only flying at maybe 200-300 feet, and so at that altitude, at most, that's exactly the area where the altitude where you're allowed to fly. Remember, as a drone operator, you're allowed to fly under 400 feet. Or any obstacle above, you get up to 400 feet above that obstacle. So getting into this, so what it also does is it establishes the foundation for information for sharing for future operational concepts such as beyond visual line of sight operations, and addresses safety and security concerns which can become more significant when expanded UAS operations become a reality. All right, what does that mean? Okay, so this is what that means. Number one, right now, first rule, you cannot fly beyond line of visual sight. So you have to be always in visual contact with your drone. Second, there are operators right now, that big companies that are, messing around with the idea or developing technology right now to go ahead and use drones for beyond visual line of sight. For instance, Amazon, they're developing a drone program to see if they can have drone operators in a remote location, much like how the U.S. military does with their Predator drones, where you have the operators in one location and the actual aircraft in a separate location. So it's beyond the line of visual sight. So then you also have Uber. Uber is actually going to be, within the next couple of years, they're going to be introducing a pilot program where they're going to be having some non-remote control. They're not going to be remote controlled, but they're going to be smaller helicopters that are going to be just like Uber taxis. They're going to be flying in specific cities, testing it out, and to see the viability of it. So the technology is there. They're starting to improve on it. UPS, FedEx, they're all jumping into this because they all want to see what they can do to be able to deliver their packages. And now, in a world where we're living in during COVID, this is becoming an increasingly interesting concept, to where, hey, if you don't have to contact with somebody or whatever, you can use a drone to go ahead and drop off a package. You can drop off your food, you drop off your medicine, whatever it is. That's going to be something that companies are going to be looking into. So that's what that really is. And it also opens up a big swath, a big area for us as hobbyists or Part 107 guys like myself, to be able to fly our drones beyond the line of visual sight, so that way we're not going to be in trouble. We can fly within the legal limits, because it is fun to be able to go and use the technology for what it is. We have this technology, we can be able to go and fly it for 2-3 miles and be able to go from your backyard, if you're unobstructed or anything like that, and get some really great shots of beautiful views and scenery and wherever you're at. So it's very important, but we also have to be aware that once we are in that vicinity, we no longer are visual with that aircraft, and things can happen. So that's why we have some of these aircraft are built with collision avoidance technology. Mine has a collision avoidance technology. You have other stuff, but you have others that, like the Mavic Mini 2, the Mini 2 doesn't have collision avoidance technology. And there are a bunch of other drones that don't have collision avoidance. Certain FPV drones, they don't have collision avoidance. But this also falls into RC category, where your rockets and helicopters and planes also. So, which I wanted to bring this up because there was a summary give out that was given for this. It says, it primarily focuses on providing new capability for law enforcement, which is another area that people are going to be looking at to use for drone technology, because remote identification is not really necessary for cooperative or good actors. However, it does provide law enforcement a tool to ID the drone and locate its operator. It doesn't really impact the drones weighing less than 55 pounds, 0.55 pounds, or less than 249 grams, which the Mavic Mini falls under. But remember, in my first video, you can go ahead and check it out. We're talking about the gentleman in LA, where he flew his drone into an LAPD helicopter. That's what they're talking about with law enforcement and having to, check the bad actors and who are giving us guys a bad name. And I think that's one of the reasons why the gentleman in Philadelphia is getting such a bad rap, because the FAA is coming down really hard on people, and they're using him as an example. And again, I'm not going to get into his situation, which is it really is a heartbreaking situation. And and Mikey, if you're watching, man, my prayers are with you, man. I feel you on that. But things happen, and we have to follow the rules, and we have to be able to go out there and do certain things, and we have to fly by the rules. We have to be responsible when we're flying these aircraft, because again, like I stated, we are the pilots in command. We're the ones that are commanding these aircraft. We're the ones that are controlling these aircraft. We're the ones that are putting these aircraft in the different airspace, and we have to share it. We have to share the airspace with the big boys. That's going to be including military. I've got F-16s that fly over my house all the time. So we've got, commercial, same thing. We have just recreational. We have private pilots. We have, search and rescue. We have, law enforcement, things like that. So, we have to be able to share the sky with everybody. So the FAA is going to be implementing this pretty soon. The rumor is it's going to be somewhere around Christmas time this year, by the end of this month. And if you want to read more about it, I'll post a link for it in Drone Life and a couple other links so you can understand what remote ID really is. But I'm going to give you a couple ways to kind of keep you safe right now, even before remote ID comes into play. And if you're flying, I want you to go ahead and download these apps. I have these apps. I fly with them. Whenever I go up, I'll make sure that I'm using them. And because you can go ahead and notify the airspace beforehand. So if you're in a specific airspace, you're in restricted airspace, you can notify the FAA of where you are, what are you going to do, and if you're just going to be recreational, if you just want to take your drone up for a spin, you want to fly, take it around, look it around, it's going to be, you have to contact the FAA and get authority through LAANC, and that's LAANC, and that stands for the Low Altitude Authorization and Notification Capability. There are certain apps that you can go and get. Download them right away. If you're going to fly a drone, I don't care what it is, download these apps. They're free. They're free to join, and it's going to keep you out of trouble big time. Okay, so the first one is AirMap, and the other one is Kitty Hawk. Now, Kitty Hawk is also joined with the Before You Fly app that was previously owned by the FAA, and it was a mess. But Kitty Hawk went and bought that, and now it's pretty killer. So AirMap, Kitty Hawk, and Before You Fly. Those three apps, I'll post the links in there in the description so you guys can go ahead and download them yourself. But you keep those in there. Before you fly, go ahead and let them know what you're going to be doing. They're really easy to use. I might even show a tutorial on how to use them. And to be able to go there, just to make sure you keep yourself legal. Make sure you keep yourself within the legal boundaries, so that way you are always playing by the rules. And when this thing comes out, you already know how to use it. You already know how to play by the rules, and the FAA is not going to come down looking at you. Because remember, again, we're pilots in command, and we are responsible for these aircraft. And if there's any damage done because of us, well, we're the ones that are going to have to suffer consequences, but also this is going to give consequences to the rest of the community, and that's not something that we want. That's not something that we want to advocate. That's not something how we want to operate, especially as drone operators. We want to be able to not only play by the rules, but fly safely, because then more people can have fun, okay? So with that, guys, remember, go ahead and like and subscribe, hit the bell notifications if you haven't already, and also go ahead and visit Folds of Honor and Aviation Influence. Great organizations. Go ahead and donate if you can, because they're trying to help young people to create new aviators and help them expand in aviation, and also Folds of Honor to go ahead and there's scholarships for our fallen and wounded soldiers for their families. Great organizations. You want to go ahead and check those out. So with that, guys, be safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.